to the take-home portion of the mold control lab activity. Just to refresh your memory, a couple days ago we set up an experiment to test different cleaning products to see how effective they are at controlling mold. As far as cleaning up mold, say in a place like your bathroom, for example. We broke our class up into 4 groups, and each group tested a different cleaning product at different concentrations. So at concentrations of 1%, 10%, and 100% of that cleaning product. One person in each group took home the plates and are going to assess them now that it's 48 hours later, and they're going to record the results of their assessments in a Google Sheet. So just to refresh our memory on how we're going to assess the plates for fungal colony growth, we're using a qualitative assessment. So what this means is that we're not going to count individual colonies and record a number. Instead, we're going to use a scale and compare our treatment plate to our control. And then based on that comparison, we're going to estimate how much of the treatment plate is covered with fungal colonies as in comparison to the control. So if you look at this table, if there is no growth on the plate, then we're going to designate that with the minus symbol. On the other end of the spectrum, if the treatment is the same amount of growth as the control, then we're going to designate that with 4 plus symbols. If the treatment plates are somewhere in between that, we're going to designate it with a plus symbol ranging anywhere from a single plus symbol up to 3 plus symbols. So here we have our control plate. We're going to look at it, and we see it's almost completely covered with fungal colonies. So we're going to designate this as 4 pluses. And this is what you will record on the data sheet. So here we have our next treatment. We are looking at Lysol cleaner, and it's at 1%. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the control plate, which is almost completely covered with fungal colonies. And we're going to compare our treatment plate, which is on the right-hand side, to the control plate. So we would not say that these are the same, that there is no difference between the two. We would not say that the treatment plate has no growth. It definitely has growth. So it's somewhere in between those 2 designations, those 2 assessments. It's definitely greater than 25%, so I wouldn't designate the assessment as that. And this is a little tough, but looking at this, I would say that it's less than 75%. So I would give the designation of 50% of the plate is covered with fungal colonies as in comparison to the control. And so you would record this assessment as 2 plus symbols. Okay, let's try another one. So here we have our treatment at a concentration of 10% Lysol. Again, the control is on the left-hand side and the treatment is on the right-hand side. So if we look at that treatment plate in comparison to the control, there is growth. It is not the same as the control, so somewhere in between. It is definitely less than 50%. And I would even say that it's less than or equal to 25%. And so we would give this the designation of less than 25%, and we would record this data as a single plus symbol. Okay, now that you've assessed your data, we need to record it. We've set up a Google Sheet for you to record your data in. You can access the link for this by going to the course website and going to the weekly materials section. You will scroll down and look for the Lab 3 mold control. You will see there's a link for a Google spreadsheet for mold control. Let's click on that. Okay, so a couple things to notice. There's a table with the different treatments tested, as well as a space to record your control and the different concentrations of those treatments tested. In addition, at the bottom, there are different tabs Since we have 6 lab sections for this course, each tab is designated for a different lab section. So we're only comparing results for a particular lab section. So let's say we're in Wednesday 905 lab section, and we said that our treatment was Lysol. So our control, we're saying, has 100% growth because that's what we're comparing all our treatments to. So if we're going to designate it as 100% growth, we'll add 4 plus symbols here just to have some kind of recording in this space. So let me start recording that. Okay. Oops, there was a problem. It looks like your formula has an error. If you don't want to enter a formula, begin your text with an apostrophe. Okay. So yeah, we're not trying to enter a formula, so we want this to be recognized as text. So I added an apostrophe before the 4 pluses. Okay, so next we'll enter the data for the 1% concentration of Lysol. So this is the lower percentage, and this was, we assessed it as having 50% fungal colony growth as compared to control. So we will designate that as apostrophe with 2 pluses. Okay, next we'll record the data for 10%, so this is more increased, more concentrated solution. And again, we said that this was less than or equal to 25%, so we'll designate it with a single plus sign. And then finally our 100%, which we didn't assess in the previous part of this presentation, but we're going to say it has no growth. So if something has no growth, we designate that with a minus symbol. And that's it. So others in your class will populate the rest of this table based on their treatments. And then next week, we will look at the results of all of the treatments and try to draw some conclusions.